So I wanted to share a little bit with you about my own personal fitness journey. Many of you have come to this YouTube channel because I do share a little bit about my own fitness journey and losing weight, getting back in shape in my mid to late 40s, and even getting back on stage, back on the bodybuilding stage. I did bodybuilding competitions in my 30s, getting back into it into my late 40s. And so what I wanted to do here in this video is share with you 7 different habits that I'm really focusing on to get fit AF at the age of 48. I'm almost 49. I'm going to continue doing these things consistently over the next, this is stuff I'm going to do the rest of my life, but these are going to be the things that I'm really honing in on and really focusing in on to get fit AF by the age of 50. Okay. So I am 48 years old. It is March of 2025. It's actually March of 2026. My brain does the thing, if you're that age, you know what I'm talking about. So it's March of 2026. I turned 50 in June of 2027. And I started this idea of giving yourself a year to focus in on the boring basics of fitness and wellness. I started this in April of 2024. And so we're coming up on 2 years of me just like honing in on the boring basics and being super consistent and super focused with them. And I'm going to continue doing that. And I want to get just jacked AF, right? I want to get jacked AF by the time I'm 50, which is just, in some cases I already am kind of jacked, but I want to get more jacked. Like I just really want to work on, just really looking aesthetically fit. Okay. That's not to say that fit looks a certain way. It is certainly not the case. I have shared frequently, like I was 60 pounds overweight and I hiked the Grand Canyon in one day. Like I was in fantastic shape. I was in the best shape of my life, but I was 60 pounds overweight. So I am probably a poster child for fitness doesn't necessarily look a certain way, but I'm just in this mode of doing bodybuilding competitions. And that very much is an aesthetic sport. You judged on muscle symmetry and, presentation and, overall just how your body looks. And so I'm spending, the next year, I'm going to do this the rest of my life, but like, I want to share with you just the 7 different things that I'm really focusing in on. And there are things that I call the boring basics of fitness. I put them together into something called the balance framework. And I do that because first of all, it just helps people to remember sort of when I'm talking about the boring basics, what are those things? But then second of all, it's like, you don't have to be perfect in just the one thing. And if you feel like you're falling off the one thing, you're not really like falling off. The other things are kind of carrying the weight. And what I mean by that is like, if you just have a week, like I haven't been to the gym in a week. I'm tired. My body is sore from doing other things. And sometimes I just like a little bit of a break from the gym, but I don't necessarily have this mindset of like, oh my gosh, I'm completely fallen off the bandwagon because I'm focusing in on the other parts of what I call the boring basics or the balance framework. So like those things are still in place. I'm still eating my protein. I'm still drinking my water. I'm still focusing in on my sleep, getting, some good things in place to lower my stress level, stuff like that. So let's talk about what these 7 different things are. Long-winded introduction there, right? So the first thing is really focusing in on building strength through movement, building good, solid muscle. I think that weightlifting is, I'm going to almost say it's a non-negotiable for women over the age, and women at any age really, but women over the age of 40 really need to have some sort of a resistance training program in place. I'm going to say most because there's just some cases where it just doesn't make sense. But that's not what we're going to go into here. But really focusing in on building some solid muscles. But if we really focus in on weightlifting, doing resistance training, things that are really helping me to become a stronger person, to build more muscle, to keep the muscle that I currently have. So that's going to be things like weightlifting, any kind of resistance training, things that are like you're resisting the force of gravity, right? So even things like swimming can be considered resistance training. It's not something that you're going to do to prepare for a bodybuilding competition, maybe for conditioning and, cardio, things like that. But that gives you some really great resistance training. It allows you to build some strength. It allows you to just move your body in ways that you probably just don't normally move. So the first thing that I'm really focusing in on is building strength through movement. Number 2 is adequate hydration, making sure I am drinking enough water. Number 1, I live in the desert. I need to make sure that I'm drinking water. You don't necessarily sweat all that much when you live in the desert, so you're not getting the feedback like you do in other climates where it's like, "Oh, I'm sweating a lot. I should probably drink water." I feel like when you live in a place where you don't sweat, you're sweating, it's just evaporating right away. You really need to pay attention to how much water you're drinking. And I also think that a lot of us might have these like hunger feelings that we get, but you might really be thirsty. I know that is my case. And so really paying attention to making sure that I'm drinking enough water versus like being like, oh, I feel a little bit hungry and then going and eating something. So focusing in on getting adequate hydration. I get asked not frequently, but I do get asked here and there about electrolytes. I think that like the internet, social media has made electrolytes like this big thing lately. I personally use electrolytes when I am hiking in the summer in Phoenix. It's super duper hot. You're sweating like crazy, like to the point that it's evaporating off your skin and you have this like white film all over your skin. And, when you're sweating like that in the heat, you want to make sure that you're keeping your electrolytes in balance. I do try to get it from food. I eat salted nuts and, some other things to keep my electrolytes in balance. But I mean, for the most part, if you're, eating, a properly balanced diet and, drinking your water, you probably don't need electrolytes. There's, social media is making it really popular right now. So the second thing is adequate hydration, getting enough water. The third thing is working on lowering my stress levels. And that is, I always say this is like just easier said than done. And it's not to like get rid of stress. That's not the goal. You can't get rid of stress. You have good stress, you have bad stress, right? And there's good stress. There's stress of like you go to the gym and you have a really solid workout. That's stress on your body. It's good stress, but it's stress on your body. But just working on putting things in place to lower my stress levels. So, yoga is always a good thing to help lower your stress levels. Taking deep breaths and like even just going to yoga and just taking a deep breath. Like, when was the last time you took a deep breath? Just deep breath in, exhale it out, right? Like, when was the last time you did that? So, really focusing in on doing things that help me to lower stress levels, even some simple things as like saying no to things. If you have a full calendar, what kinds of things can you take off your calendar? What kinds of things can you say no to, or just maybe not right now to? Stuff like that. Just kind of paying attention to ways that I can lower my stress levels in my life. The next thing is to get adequate sleep and recovery. Now, I'm 48. I have struggled with sleep my entire life. My mom will even tell you that as a child, she had a very difficult time getting me to go to sleep. I've always been like naturally this night owl. My body just does not want to go to sleep when the rest of the world goes to sleep. So I have sort of forced myself to become an early riser, in that I go to bed early so I can make sure to fall asleep, so that if I do have trouble sleeping, I have more time to actually get some sleep. So like, for example, last night I went to bed at 8 o'clock. I woke up at like 1:30 to go to the bathroom, couldn't fall back asleep. Lay there for, almost 2 hours before I finally fall back asleep. But then I had enough time to like get a little bit more decent sleep. So I'm really trying to pay attention to my sleep patterns. I know that, many of you watching this, you probably are in the same boat where it's like you either A, can't fall asleep, or B, you wake up in the middle of the night and then you can't fall back asleep. When I'm talking about making sure that I'm getting enough sleep, it's A, going to bed early, and then B, you wake up in the middle of the night. And I used to just like, I used to get up. I used to get up and go to the couch, watch TV. I'm like, oh, I can't sleep, so I'm just going to go to the couch and watch TV. Or I'd get up and do stuff. And now I'm really just like, okay, I'm awake. I'm going to lay here and rest. I'm still going to, lay in bed. I'm still going to rest. I'm not going to get up and like be active and do things. Maybe listening to some meditation music or, something like that, just to kind of, I'm still not sleeping, but I'm still resting. And then the other piece of that is getting adequate recovery. So, like I said, I haven't been to the gym in a week. I haven't been to the gym in a week right now. I'm still active. I'm still doing things. But, my body's just kind of going, we need a little bit of a break here. So I'm taking it. So I'm honoring it. So I'm getting that recovery. The next thing is, and balance, is to nourish your body and mind. And so I'm paying a lot of attention to my nutrition. I think nutrition for me has been the biggest thing as part of my own personal weight loss journey, body transformation journey. is nutrition. I think that that is the biggest thing. Like if you are somebody that you're like, I want to lose 30 pounds, I want to look jacked, I want to get toned, I want to have muscles, right? Weightlifting and nutrition that's where, I mean, that's just where it's at. So nutrition is something I've really, really, really been focusing on a lot the last 2 years, but I really started honing in on it much better December of 2020, 2024. That's when I was like, all right, I'm going to get serious about this. I started tracking my food, tracking my protein, making sure that I'm getting enough, all that stuff. So really focusing in on my nutrition, being consistent with it. I'm not perfect with it. I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I eat for my goals, 20% of the time, I'm not going off the rails. I'm not eating a whole pizza or anything, but, enjoying myself. And then the other piece to that is nourishing my mind. And that's paying attention to the things that I consume, social media, different websites, different accounts. Sometimes I'll go through my social media accounts and like see who I'm following. Sometimes you end up following, like, how do you end up following some of these things? Like, did I even follow this? So I go through and I like unfollow a bunch of this stuff, paying attention to how much I'm scrolling, but then also making sure that I'm nourishing my mind with good positive things. And I'm a big advocate for reading paper books. I think a lot of us have books sitting on our bookshelves that we bought, haven't read them yet, or got halfway through them and set them aside. So I'm really trying to pay attention to that and starting to go through some of the books that I bought and I just haven't read yet. So nourishing my mind in good positive ways, but also paying attention to the types of information that I am consuming. C is to create a success plan. And this is something that I probably need to focus in a little bit better on. I do have some goals coming up here. I am hiking the Grand Canyon in a couple of weeks. I have a photo shoot, a fitness photo shoot scheduled in May. I am intending to do another bodybuilding competition this fall. And then I'm also hiking the Grand Canyon again this fall. So I do have like goals set in place. What I probably need to be a little bit better about is being focused on what is the plan to get me there. Training to hike the Grand Canyon is very different from training to do a bodybuilding competition. I did it last year. So what I want to do is go back through my old notes. I keep a notebook and like almost like a journal. I just keep a notebook and I want to go back through and figure out, okay, what things worked, what things didn't work, and like put together the plan of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do in March. This is what I'm going to do in April, May, June. Not down to the day-to-day level, but just like what do I need to really focus in on? And then from there, what I want to do is then create that weekly plan. I really do well with that kind of structure of like, okay, this is what I need to get done this week. And then just making the plan, executing the plan. I do really well with that. So things like meal prepping on Sundays, or at least planning out my meals. I do work from home, so I'm able to kind of cook as I need to, but planning out my meals on Sunday night, planning out my workouts. I do that. I plan out all my workouts all the time. And just having this like sort of structured plan in place of like, okay, this is where I want to go, by the end of the year. This is where I want to go, in a year and some change by the time I turn 50. What is it that I need to be focusing on each month? And things are going to change. Life happens in there, but it's like you still got this general plan of the direction that you're going. So C is to create that success plan. So that's probably an area that I need to hone in on just a little bit more. Only because, I've been a little bit far out from a goal. I did the bodybuilding competition in November. And I've got the plan to get me to the Grand Canyon. I'm ready. I'm ready to hike the Grand Canyon now. It's just keeping that level of fitness. But now it's like, okay, we need to move into the next half of the year and then, the first part of 2027 for when I turn 50. And then E is to embrace consistency and accountability. That's something I've been doing pretty good with. I've been very consistent. Like I said, I took the last week off the gym, but I'm calling that embracing or, getting adequate recovery, right? That my body is just kind of going, We've been doing a lot lately. Let's take a little bit of a break. So I'm embracing that consistency and that I'm consistent with these boring basics. It's not that I'm looking at this going, oh shit, I've taken the week off the gym. I've totally lost all my gains. I've lost all of my progress. That's not the mindset I'm going into this with. I'm honoring this other part of the boring basics of fitness that is honoring your body. And if you need a little bit of rest, take it. Okay. So it's like, it's balance. Everything is balanced. Everything evens out over time. So this section over here on getting adequate recovery is carrying the weight over here of me not going to the gym for a week. I'm not going to let a week turn into 6 months. But, my body just wanted a break. So I said to myself, all right, I'm going to take a couple days. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's the plan to go back. So embracing consistency, understanding that consistency means consistency within the balance framework, those boring basics of all of those things, they all work together. And then accountability it's different for everybody. Some people have coaches that they work with. Some people have somebody in their life that they check in with. That's what I have. I have a person that I'm able to check in with, go over my plan, get some feedback, things like that. The other thing that helps hold me accountable is I'm sharing all this stuff on social media. So that does help keep me accountable. And then we've got the Operation Fit AF members group, staying accountable by just being active within that group. I'm sharing stuff in there, but other people are sharing what they're doing, what they're working on in there too. So that does help with the accountability side of things of like, okay, this person's, they're on it, they're doing it. I gotta make sure to stay on it too. So it's like a way of like holding myself accountable. I also have shared that I do have a calendar that I write down the actual workout that I did. I don't write down the plan. I write down the actual workout so I can look at it and go, okay, this is what I've done over the last 2 weeks, last 3 weeks. This is how I can see like I've been super active for a long time. And so just taking the last week off from the gym is like, I can look back at that and go, yeah, I've been busy. My body needs it, right? So that's another way I hold myself accountable is journaling in my calendar of I create the plan, execute the plan, and then log the plan, log the execution, I guess. Journal the execution. I got to think of another phrase. Create the plan, execute the plan, hold yourself accountable. I got to think of a better word there. Anyhow, so that is the E part of balance is embracing consistency and accountability. So those are the 7 different pillars that I share when I'm talking about like just stay consistent with the boring basics. Those are the things that I need. Building strength, getting adequate hydration, lowering your stress levels, getting adequate sleep and recovery, nourishing your body, your mind, create a success plan, execute the plan, and then E is embrace consistency and accountability. So all of those things work together. And so when you're off on one, it's not like this mindset of like, oh my gosh, I've totally lost all of my progress. No, it's you're focusing in on some other things instead. So those things, that mindset shift, those are the things that is really helping me to stay consistent over a long period of time. Like I said, this has been 2 years, almost 2 years now where I've just like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to do it the boring basics way. And it's working. And we're going to kick it up a notch here. I've got, let's see, April, May, June. So I've got 15 months until I turn 50. So let's freaking go. Let's go. Let's go do this. So Operation Fit AF is a monthly membership, annual membership that I have. It's a 365 days body transformation challenge. The idea here is that you give yourself a year to focus in on yourself again, focus in on your own personal health, wellness. You set the goal, you decide what the goal is. Nobody's telling you what the goal is. Nobody's saying to you you're training for a marathon or you're training for a bodybuilding competition or you're, going to lose 50 pounds. That's not what it is. It's you decide what the goal is. We've got resources. We've got a community of people who are on the same journey to help support you, guide you, keep you accountable, provide that emotional support as you're going through the things. But we've got a portal where you can access on-demand yoga classes. You can access some PDF workouts that you can either print up or take on your phone and go to the gym. We've got a nutrition workshop. I've got recipe books. I've got a cookbook in there. All sorts of really great stuff that you get as part of the membership. We also do monthly live Q&A/group coaching sessions. So we do those. And if you're not available for the live sessions, they are recorded. You get access to them in our portal. I also just got a free tier of the Operation Fit AF app up and ready on our website. You can go to heathermonthly.com/free. That's where you can sign up for the free version of the Operation Fit AF membership tier. In there, you will get a couple of different things. So you will get a 7-day Get Fit AF Kickstart program. I don't like to call things challenges in that sense because 7-day challenges, you're not changing a whole heck of a lot in 7 days. But a 7-day Kickstart is really like, okay, let's just kind of ease into it here and get started. so that you can keep her moving, you can keep it going, right? So you get a 7-day Get Fit AF Kickstart challenge. In that, each of the 7 days, we go over one of the boring basics that I just went over, one of the things in the balance framework. So the first day is B, build strength through movement. So that first day, you'll do a little bit of work on that, okay? And you could even do it 7 weeks at a time if you wanted to. The first week, you want to focus on building strength. The second week, you want to focus on building strength. And now we're adding in making sure that you're paying attention to your hydration, stuff like that. Okay, so you get the 7-day Get Fit AF Kickstart program. You get access to a yoga kickstart guide. I've got a PDF download that you can get where we've got some just basic information on different yoga poses that you can do. But then there's also a couple different free yoga trainings that I have in there, just kind of talking you through a couple different things. But then I've also got some free yoga classes in there as well, ranging from 5 minutes up to 30 minutes. So some free yoga classes in there as well. And then I've also got a How to Eat for Strength and Longevity PDF guide that comes along with a free recipe pack that's got 40 different recipes. They're 5-ingredient recipes. So that is also a PDF download that you get as part of the free tier of Operation Fit AF. So you can go to operationfitaf.com. That's going to have the free tier. It'll have the monthly membership tier, and then it will have the annual tier as well. So if you want to pay, annually and you're like, I'm in, we're going to do this. Okay. You can get that option there. If you're like, I just want to get the free stuff right now, heathermonty.com/free. It's going to get you to the same place. Just whatever's easiest for you to remember. I've got links in the description. Head there, check it out. I hope to see you on the inside.